Picture this. It's 2008. You're talking to your friends, and they tell you about this new band that people are insanely mad over online. You turn off your suicide silence, and you hear what it sounds like fairly standard hardcore, metalcore, deathcore, whatever you want to call it. Then the vocalist starts shouting this phrase. Won't you be my bride? That band is a mirror, and they were on a label called Victory Records. From the 2000s to the early 2010s, Victory were one of the top dogs in the scene. Warped Tour, those shirts with the cartoon monsters on them, impact font profanity shirts, that era, that shit. As the 2000s turns into the 2010s, it all crumbles as they start getting sued by their bands. Hawthorne Heights, A Day They Remember, Streetlight Manifesto, as well as open complaints from Atreyu, Thursday, and Aiden. I remember hearing this one story, I have no memory if it was true, but it wouldn't surprise me, about how Alex Varkatzis, who at the time was the screamer for Atreyu, was allegedly beat by someone paid by Victory Management for asking about money that went missing. The label, and mainly their owner, Tony Brummel, became the most hated people in the scene and lived out their final years as a label for the desperate. Do you remember on the one leaked version, or YouTube upload or whatever, of one of the songs on Common Courtesy by Day to Remember, there was that voicemail, and it was the guy screaming or threatening the band or whatever? That was Tony Brummel. This didn't mean there weren't good bands coming from the label. Broadside, We Were Sharks, Abandoned by Mares, Carousel Kings, and Like Torches. They really had a great lineup towards the end, especially of pop punk. What happened to them? Well, they sold the company. Brummel and the rest of the label knew it was the end of their road. Couldn't really do much else but sell. A lot of the newer bands, while they were good, weren't really bringing in much to the label. And honestly, when a lot of those bands had better options, they jumped ship. At this stage, all they could really do was just make money off of vinyl and residuals. And the main focus of this video is the vinyl. After previously acquiring a portion of the label's catalog, most notably the first two Taking Back Sunday records, Victory as a whole were purchased by Concord, a creative rights company. Big company that manages a bunch of labels. Most relevant outside of Victory to this kind of scene would be Fearless. Victory's assets became managed by a division known as Craft Recordings, and basically all they do at this point is farm streaming revenue, it feels like. The old, incredible Victory merch website is now gone. A lot of its items would just vanish for this new, more clean-looking corporate webpage. Once you could get on this page, you can get a couple Between the Buried and Me albums, a couple Silverstein albums, a couple Day to Remember albums, amongst other things, but you'll notice a whole lot of it is sold out. This gets me to my biggest point here. Craft Recordings only reissue vinyl from the safest of safe bets from the label's history, outside A Day to Remember and A Mirror pressings that were ordered by the old management that shipped after the buyout. Nothing after the year 2009 has been reissued, with the exception of The Difference Between Hell and Home by Counterparts. A handful of albums listed as From the Victory Vaults, being unsold stock from the late period of the original label, including the final full album released by the label on physical formats, Plus Ultra by Carousel Kings, is available. But the biggest band Victory signed in the 2010s is probably Broadside, who are still, pretty popular. Good luck getting their first two records. Just can't. Not available. Can't find them anywhere unless you look used, and even then they're pretty expensive. I just had to pay $50 for a copy of Paradise. Even big fan favorites from the 2000s like Hawthorne Heights' as If Only You Were Lonely haven't been reissued. The band had to re-record it to get copies out there. There's also the issue of For Those Who Have Heart by A Day to Remember, which got a remaster, quote-unquote, that ended up sounding worse than the original. This led me personally to not trust Craft, and I just prefer to get copies from before they bought out the label. To me, this whole thing feels like a refusal to spend money, to make money, and a lack of respect for the fans of these bands. And just looking for just money, and refusal to do what the original Victory did. Because the original Victory was really, 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 really good with reissues. If it was released from 2015 and earlier, it probably got one. If you're in the market for a copy of Lost Touch by We Were Sharks, good luck even finding a copy for sale. Not just one that you can afford, a copy for sale. Victory released some great music. I just wish I could own more of it.